clean. That's what you want. I saw the you. So taking instruction from a woman, things will just flipped overnight. Today you're submissive. The following day, on a authority over me. It won't work.
They drink too much. They're beating the woman. They kick the woman, and that's not right what they're doing.
I'm so disappointed about what is happening around the whole world. As a young man, I just wanted to just be exactly like you, but the way you do things, I've started to change my mind because you are busy beating our moms.
I realize that when I can talk when I'm angry, I'll never be able to reverse whatever I've said.
Whenever you feel like you're not heard, for me, the first thing that I do is to increase the volume. And increasing the volume is not always a clarity of expressing your emotions.
Well, thank you and welcome. This is the conversation man to man. I just want to take this time and welcome you all who are joining us this evening on the conversation man to man. We're talking health here. We're talking health. You'll agree with me, family, that health plays a major role. In fact, health is everything. So when we talk health, we're talking about that which is very, very crucial. And we chose to talk about something that we feel is very, very sensitive and very close to almost everybody. It's not only men, because this condition, when we talk of the renal health, it is not only affecting men, it is affecting even children, it is affecting even women. So that's why we felt it's important for us to tackle this topic, and we are going to be handling that tonight. And I'm not alone. I have my co-host, and that is Dr. Mabila Matebula. Good evening, Doc.
Yeah, good evening, Pastor Strike, and good evening, listeners, as well as our viewers.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Mabila, and really appreciate you being with us this evening as we go on the conversation man to man. You'll remember, most especially you, my brothers, and I must apologize. You know, we were ready to start. In fact, we're here so early, but you know what happened with our systems. The challenge is that the electrical cut downs and the like, they always and continue to disappoint us. That is why sometimes things do not go as planned. You know, the network was just throwing us off, and we could not be able to start or going live. But thank you so very much for your patience, and thank you for also logging in. We really appreciate that you are here. And I would love to say, let us invite others, just share with others as we talk renal health. And beloved, one of the things that I feel is very much important, I know that some are saying, where are you? We're seeing a clinic here. I chose that we see this clinic because we are going to the clinic today. We will be talking renal health, and we have somebody who's going to really help us on that. Then nephrology nurse specialist. She's not a nephrologist, but she's a nephrology nurse specialist. And this young lady, we respect her in this subject and her passion. You know, she is spot on. She's very passionate about this topic, and we are going to host her tonight, and she's going to really help us understand some of the things that are very, very crucial when it comes to renal health. And family, we all know that prevention is better than cure. One of the main reasons why we embark on this exercise is to make sure that we know, while it's still time, what needs to be done in order for me to be able to deal with these issues even before they happen. You know, so it's very, very critical for me to know. By the time the condition is upon you, it's not time to start gathering information, but it's time to fight. It's time to push back. But Dr. Mabila, while we're setting the tone and also waiting for the lady in the clinic to take her place. I would love for us to look back at the birth of the conversation men to men. It was during COVID-19 pandemic when we were locked in our homes and we could not um, be free to move or free to do anything. And a lot of things began happening. And some of the things that started happening was the report of gender-based violence incidences in families and, in communities. Hey, Doc, while we're waiting for our nurse, what do you think was one of the contributing factor for such violence where we were supposed to be having a great time? You see the gentleman that we interviewed, one gentleman saying things just flips overnight. I had authority and the next thing my wife's got authority, which I think also is a misinterpretation of authority, because when they talk of gender equity, it is not necessarily that we're not competing, but you hear his tone, you hear his tone. And also looking at some of the chores where we have to help each other as family members, as husband and wife. When my wife says, help me sweep there, help me do that, I don't think it's a sign of her disrespecting me. She might be busy with something and I might not be committed at that particular time. And it's good for us to be sharing this responsibility with a good spirit. Of course, we've been sharing, now it's about 34 years, we've been sharing a lot of things. Can I really feel that she's disrespecting me when she says, hey, Abby, if you could be, and like this morning he said, hey, could you please be boiling water there for us to make tea? And the next day I say, yeah. Hey, Doc, let's talk a little bit about that, because when we talk of the conversation man to man, today we're diving on health, but it is holistic. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, no,
Doc, I just see
I'm glad you brought it up.
I just see your smile that
what we
you are
need to
with me.
understand is it's for the first time that we had a lockdown in Africa. A situation whereby one were confined to, going out or not moving. It was for the first time. And then in a lot of cases, you literally find that men, they go to their watering holes where they can do all sorts of things, or maybe they are also involved in extracurricular relationships. And then now, they're with good intentions because they were managing the pandemic. But there were unintended consequences because one had to be with his partner 100% full time. Now they couldn't actually. The heat was strong that the heat. That's why there were so many issues. And then when you go to work and your wife goes to work, and then you meet, you don't know each other that much. But the lockdown gave people an opportunity to know each other more, and there was a lot of conflict. And then also, as you rightfully said, the couples, more often than not, they don't actually have joint things to do together, And then when you had to be at home, there was nothing to be done, It was a question, whatever, maybe, reading whatever. Maybe the only find out there was no talent, and people, and they ended up in conflict. And I think the lockdown redefined their relationships. But you need to look beyond what the relationship is. Look for other avenues to improve your relationship. Or conflict. And some other people, divorced, they redefined strategies, redefined relationships.
And after the divorce and after all is said and done, you look back, you realize that you solved a temporary problem with a permanent solution, because now you sit back, you realize that was the worst mistake maybe that I ever committed, because if we conflict during COVID and divorce there, I don't think, because we had the stress of cabin fever. We had the stress of fear. We're dealing with something we don't know, we don't understand. We're not working financially. We're not stable. So psychologically, I want to believe that we were also not stable to can make decisions to that extent where I can even opt out of my marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, I think you have to. I think in South Africa we had the migrant, labor system, where a young guy would actually go to Johannesburg and leave his wife, and then he would only go back home after Good Friday or maybe when he's on leave, and then such an arrangement, made it increasingly difficult for a family, maybe for each other. And then when the men, went into retirement, it was always because the woman was actually used to be autonomous, make decisions and the like. And now here's the man, and then the autonomy that you had there. And when the majority of cases there was conflict. In other words, we've treated our relationships or our marriages as part-time institutions. Whereby you go there on part-time basis and things on full-time basis. But lockdown actually forced us to say, you are married, it's a full-time career, and you need to focus on that marriage.
Yes, very true, very true. I just want to take this time and say to our viewers, thank you so very much for tuning in. I see you, my dear brothers and sisters. We're talking today renal health, and in no time we will be hitting the ground running, because the clinic will open not long, so we will hit the ground running. But we're just reflecting and looking back at some of the things that happened during COVID. And which things are very, very critical, and which things have caused a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, and a lot of disappointment and discouragement, and all that. But we're good, and we just thank God that we are here. And when we talk renal health, family, that is a situation and that is a condition that affects all of us. You talk children, you talk men, you talk women, you talk everybody. It affects the young and the old. But we chose today that we talk about this thing, because if we don't talk about it, unfortunately, we find ourselves getting taken by surprise, and the next thing, things are happening, and you don't know where to start, what to touch, all that. So we are going to be talking renal health today, and I invite you, family. And when we talk renal health, beloved, I'm going to show you a few of the things, some of the slides that we are going to be dealing with, and then I trust that they are going to help you and me to be able to deal with this condition. But without any waste of time, I would love to really go to the clinic straight away and have our nephrology nurse specialist who is going to help us. That is Ngwakwana. And she is going to take us through, or we are going to converse. In fact, we're going to converse. We appreciate the questions that some of you have dropped, and we are going to be looking at that, and she's going to help us go through. I respect this young lady a lot when it comes to renal health, her passion and her commitment to the topic and to the subject. You hear her when she speaks, that she speaks from the heart. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would love for us to take this time and welcome our nephrology nurse specialist, and that is Ngwakwana. Good evening, sis.
Good evening, Pastor Strike, and good evening to the listeners. I am so honored and I feel so blessed. It's always a pleasure for me to be here and be sharing what it's imparted within me, what the knowledge that I have and everything.
Lovely. And Dr. Mabila, if you could say hi to our guest.
Hello, and good evening, and I'm glad that I'll be engaging with you throughout the program.
Thank you very much. It's such an honor, Doctor. So much. Thank you. At least I know I'm not alone.
You know, but family, I just want to appreciate and I want you to continue even giving us those questions on our WhatsApp. If you cannot post them right on Facebook platform, you post them on WhatsApp. We'll appreciate that. And our WhatsApp number, it's scrolling on under the screen. There is 069 581 8597 069 581 8597. And if you are free, you can also ask right here on the comments on Facebook and also on YouTube. Thank you so very much. Mwakwana, sister, thank you so very much. Let's hit the ground running because time is not on our side. What is nephrology and why should people pay attention to this study?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pastor Strike. And nephrology is it's a section. It's a study, actually, a section in the internal medicine in the medicine field. It's a study that we study about the kidneys, the normal functioning of the kidneys, what they do, the kidneys' health, and kidney diseases, how those diseases affect one's life, and goes further into explaining that nephrology medicine it includes actually the adults and the kids, the children.
Yes, these are some of the things that we get to know and we get to see happening, to our people. Maybe back then we did not know what it is because some of these conditions like kidneys challenges we're not there exactly. We're not there. We did not know of, but it might be that it was there, but we did not know. Okay, I'm talking about this mic. If you could take it up a little bit, thank you, because I can see you're running around. And thank you so very much. Our technical producer here. I'm trying to communicate in sign language to tell him no, I need this, and amen. He goes home. So, but today, like sugar diabetes, back then our parents, whether it's because they did not know or whatever, but today there are these conditions. And when we talk of kidneys, they are awesomely complex. What are the main causes of renal failure? In fact, if we may start there, Mwakwana.
Look, Pastor Strike and the listeners and doctor, with kidney disease, it like it was shown in one of the slides that we're going through here. One can actually have a kidney disease and not know about it. Up to 90% of the kidney functioning can be lost, and a person doesn't feel anything actually. So kidney disease, it goes with stages from stage 1 to 5. So with kidney disease, anyone can have the disease, young or old, despite of the race and gender.
And what would be the causes? Why is there a specific thing that we could talk of it as a cause of this disease?
Like you said, Pastor, with kidney disease, it's such a complex organ. Kidney disease mainly around the globe. The cause is hypertension.
Okay.
It's diabetes mellitus. Those are the leading causes, and it is said in the what do you call this thing, in the literature, that kidney disease, it's given a little attention, a little focus, regardless of how you know, how hard it hits on human life and socioeconomically and everything. So with kidney disease, it's a global burden that it's all over the world. But then with diabetes mellitus and hypertension remaining the leading cause of kidney disease, but there are other causes, including the use of you know, traditional concoctions, the use, rather the abuse of over the counter medication. In most cases, this is the our non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, our pain medication. So with that being said, with hypertension and diabetes mellitus, if they are not controlled, because a person can have such conditions, and if they are not under control, if the person maybe it's not taking medication as it's supposed to be taken, or if the person has got that condition and the conditions, hypertension specifically and diabetes mellitus, are not as controlled as they're supposed to be, the danger of it is that it can complicate, and when it complicates into the heart, and the blood vessels that are damaged, and the kidney. We can always go back to refer. The kidney has got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of blood vessels that transport the blood throughout the kidney so that the blood can be cleansed. So if the blood vessels in such a kidney, they are not healthy, they are diseased, they are sick, the blood vessels are sick, they're not as normal as they are supposed to be, or rather as normal as we want them to be, that such damage can complicate into the kidney not functioning at up to its optimum functioning. So that alone can cause kidney disease. And because today we are here, we are talking to men on the conversation, men to men. Look, it is common. We've seen that in men normally.
Okay. All right. And Dr. Mabila, if you remember well, Dr. Mabila, if you remember well, loko ya akamrimisi na ku dipisa tihomu, loko homu loko mo dlaya homu, a va ku ku fanele ku va na rivengo leri ri yisiwaka aka murimisi. Rivengo a hi kidney. We cannot hear you, Doc. Hi, Doc. Oh, yes. You know, I'm just thinking now, was it not a kidney, and why was it? Was it to check something? Because it was like it's a must. You have insu, or not Rivengo, insu. Oh, yes. But akahomu, it might be called in a insu like you know, my producer says we're talking insula. Now, thanks so very much, and Dr. Matebula will be connecting further. And while Dr. Matebula is connecting this one, we're talking renal health. Like I said today, yes, we're looking at men, but this is something that affects everybody. Okay, let me see if Dr. Matebula is able. Doc, are you back?
Many regrets and apologies for the technical problem.
Okay, maybe
I think I want to comment on something. Can you hear me now?
yes.
Hello, Pastor Strike?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
Doc, we
fine. I
can
was
hear you.
actually saying you said previously that that in the past people didn't know about renal problem, diabetes, and the like. The reason is you need to understand government that these things have always been there. I think the emphasis actually were diseases that were ascribable to the environment, such malnutrition, such malaria. These, the things that we actually taught to Black people. But in terms of renal failures, they've always been there, but they were not actually committed because they actually thought that Black people were actually those diseases. They've always been there. We're only told about the diseases that had to do with the environment.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And
then,
what would you love to ask our guest?
Yeah. Now, I think Pana, mentioned something that really touched me, and I would like to follow up. Men usually experience, and they normally use traditional concoction, their sexual prowess. And could you please explain how this strong traditional medicine is running of the renal system?
Okay, I think my guest here, our guest here, to maybe make it clear what Doc is trying to asking, because it's not very clear there. He said, when we look at the good posture of syndrome, posture syndrome in a disease related to kidneys, the most extreme cure. I'm not. Yeah, this is the one where he says men usually experience, erectile dysfunction, and they normally use traditional concoctions to boost their sexual prowess. Could you please explain how this strong traditional medicine disturb the smooth running of the renal system? That is maybe something that you have touched a little bit as you were talking. How does this really come to affect our renal health?
Thank you very much, Doctor, for that question. Like I mentioned earlier, with our kidneys are soft. They have soft tissues. They have lots and lots of blood vessels that are running through each and every kidney. Now, with the use of concoctions, and here we're talking renal health, I normally don't just want to talk about the healthy kidneys. I rather talk about the healthy kidneys and somebody who already has got the condition already. The reason being that, like I mentioned earlier on, kidney disease, it goes with stages. And with that being said, I could be having a kidney disease and not knowing about it. So to say we are just generalizing towards a healthy kidney and not, it wouldn't be fair, and adding value and justice to the question. Men are masculine beings, and that is given. It has always been there. And men, in most cases, rather prefer to what can I say? How can I say this? Rather prefer to manifest their power in the bedroom to their partners. Babangwe in our vernacular language, that mosadi a betwe ka matsogo, and so o bua ka mereng. So that on its own, it's putting so much pressure on men, and they go out and look for this traditional and concoctions, not knowing what that thing will do inside one's body. So with that being said, the concoctions, they run into the blood, and remember, functions of the kidney, one of it is to filter poison, is to filter waste product, whatever that we ingest, whatever that is in our body, it has to pass through the kidney into outside and through the urine. So if that thing, whatever that we are taking, it's not adjusted, it's not approved, it's not regulated according to the what can I say, food and drug authorities and stuff, we are just ingesting something that we don't even know the level of the toxicity, the level of the poison that is being ingested in our body. So that thing, because today we are talking about kidney, it can actually go and cause so much harm into the lungs, into the liver, and every other places, vital organs. But today, for the purpose of this study, for the purpose of this talk, we will be referring to the kidneys. So that thing, it can actually go and cause so much harm into the blood vessels and into the filter. Because our kidney is like this, it has got so much filter inside of it. So that poison, it can, as it passes through, it can cause damage to that filter, opening bigger pores, allowing things that are not supposed to pass through those pores to pass. And then in that way, we find ourselves, with a problem that was not even there. To somebody who is healthy, now I'm taking this thing with an aim of enhancing my manhood. That thing, it comes and it causes so much harm into the kidney, of which now, with the kidney disease, one of the problems that might later arise is the sexual dysfunction, as it is. So we will be saying, now I'm solving a sexual dysfunction with this concoction, which at the end it will come and cause even more harm to the very same sexual functioning and other systems.
Okay, that's very clear. And let's look at the symptoms, because one of the things that I'm looking out for, and I see some of my guests here on Facebook. One is saying, how does renal failure relate to short breath? And another one saying, can the continuous usage of grandpa powder contribute to kidney failure? I would love for us, even as we continue, one of the main reasons for this talk is for people to engage. But could you please maybe engage these two individuals? One talking about how does renal failure relate to short breath, and how the continuous use of grandpa can contribute to kidney or to renal challenges, or renal renal health challenges.
Thank you very much, listeners, for the questions. Kidney disease, as the kidney loses its functioning gradually, because it doesn't just die a sudden death. Allow me to say that. It goes gradually, stages by stages. That's why sometimes we might not even know. I might not even know. By the time I know that I have a problem, I'm at the last stage. The stages, we said, it's 1 to 5. So you find that by the time I realize that I have a problem, it's the end of things. Now, with the shortness of breath, the function of the kidney is to filter the water. It controls the water inside one's body. So now it filters that water, and it controls the water levels in the body. And then one has to urinate. It filters the urine comes out. Now, if I am not urinating, if I'm not passing urine, it means that water remain inside my body. Now, the lungs, we breathe through the lungs. The lungs keeps the air. And if I am not urinating and the water is not coming out, that water will remain inside my body. Now, what happens that it goes up to even inside my lungs. That could be one of the reasons. Another reason is, now, if it goes into the lungs, it means now I won't be breathing like I'm supposed to be breathing. Another reason being that kidney, one of the normal functions of the kidney, it controls electrolytes. I don't know how to put it in our vernacular language, but that's why in our bodies, the hydrogens and the gases, such. So one of the things that the kidney does, it buffers, it controls the electrolytes. Now, if the kidney is not functioning well, the problem is now the the lungs will not be, the kidney will not be able to buffer and control this electrolytes, the hydrogens and what, and then one ends up with something that we call metabolic acidosis because of the so much poison that is not coming out, not filtered by the kidneys. Now we end up with the acidosis. Now such a person cannot breathe normally. Now with the other question, what was the question?
Of the excessive use of grandpa, how it can contribute to renal health challenges.
Okay. Earlier on, I mentioned the excessive use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. That includes our brufens, our, grandpas, our pain medications, our, such non-steroidal. Like if you check each and every medication, when they make it, they tell you, don't take for more than so much days without consulting. The reason for that is that medication, as it is administered, it needs to be monitored. So if I am just taking this grandpa, I feel a toothache, I take grandpa. I feel a headache, I take grandpa. I feel whatever that I feel, pain, I take grandpa. At the end of the day, it causes so much damage to them because it needs to filter through the blood vessels. It causes the clotting and it causes the to the blood vessels.
Sure. And then another one says here, these days it has become fashionable for people, especially men, to start their day with these various energy drinks. Is that not dangerous for our kidneys?
Thank you for that question. Earlier on, I'll always refer back so that we have a connection of how all these things are connecting. Earlier on, when I started, I spoke about the kidney disease and the blood vessels and how they are, made up of. Now we are taking the energy drinks. Energy drinks, in most cases, they are made of high caffeine. They are high caffeinated content, and like I said, with kidney disease, you will never know how much of my kidney is functioning, and I'm just taking, and those things, the caffeine, as it is, it causes dehydration. So if I'm taking so much caffeine and I'm not taking water, I'm causing dehydration, and the kidney, it has got, it needs blood flow. It needs so much flow of the blood, like at least 200 mils of blood per minute should be running through a kidney. Now, if I'm taking the caffeine, it causes vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction means that now the blood vessels are narrowing. As they're narrowing, now it causes the blood, because now it's narrow, the blood to flow. It causes so much resistance as the blood flows in those blood vessels. So that resistance, as at its own, it causing so much pressure on the now I'll be going deep into it's not necessary, on the afferent arterioles. It causes so much pressure on the blood that is going inside the kidney through the sift. Let me just call it the sift. So as it causes the pressure, it's causing unnecessary pressure. It's the pressure mostly, and the vasoconstriction of the blood vessels.
And somebody also asks, what causes blood in urine normally when they test one's urine? Yeah, because sometimes when you go to the clinic, they will say, okay, let's test your urine. Go and give you something, and then you urinate into it, and they test it, and they say there's blood. Is there something related to this?
It can be a whole lot of things. With the can I say the the intensity of the test. The intensity of the test will show the size and the shapes of the red blood cells. That on its own, it will showing where the blood is coming from. Is the blood, remember we have kidneys right at the back, at our back, lower posterior. You see my waistline now a little lower there. Now it's, and the pipes called the ureters, those pipes are transporting the urine from the kidneys into the bladder. So when the bladder is filled with urine, that's when I feel that I need to pee, and then there's an opening. So when we're saying there's a blood in urine, the kind of a test that we make, it will show us as it, the further tests are being done, because that alone, it's suggestive that something is wrong. Now we will need to go further into this testing. So that alone, it will show us that there's somewhere along this passage. So we don't know whether the bleeding is from the kidney, because that is the kidney study is that this is one study on its own. But there is another urology now. This is where now the urethra and the bladder that is coming in. So blood in urine can mean a whole lot of things. Bilharzia, for somebody who's in the village, is swimming, bilharzia can cause that. They get that from the rivers. Bleeding can come because now the lining or the kidney itself is damaged. Sometimes it's due to what we drink, sometimes it's due to other diseases. What we drink, I mean the citric drink, sometimes some that's why sometimes you find that somebody has got an infection of the the whole system, or wherever the infection is. It is said, don't take such and such, and don't take drinks. Another reason could be that the damage or the injury, basically it's the injury, and the injury could be physical due to aggressive injury, or be that there is a bug or anything that is causing the lining to be inflamed, to be swelling up. So if it's swelling up, now there is friction as the urine is being formed. It's you find that there's friction, and then it comes with blood. Sometimes the blood cannot be seen with naked eyes, but you find that the blood cells are there in the urine.
Thanks so very much, Nwakwana. Let's look at the symptoms, because this is one of the things that I feel most of the questions that my participants are asking, they want to really know, is this related to it or not? I think the symptoms will then help maybe even answer some of the questions that my participants are having. Doc, let's have our guest unpacking the symptoms, and then we'll then interrogate it from there, or we'll then see how our participants continue also to be part of this conversation. Like we say, it's a conversation, so we all are to really bring something. Let's talk about the symptoms.
Thank you very much. With the symptoms, what I don't know how to put this. It bothers me. Let me just say, it bothers me because we can mistaken at all these stages that I have spoken about, from stage 1 up to stage 5 of kidney damage or kidney disease. The symptoms can be there, and one doesn't really relate them to kidney disease as it is, because like nausea and vomiting, a pregnant woman can feel nauseous. Fatigue, it happens to anyone and everyone. Headache, anyone can have a headache. And swelling of the feet, and some people, it's just, especially in men, I've read that in journals and everything, studies, men delay in seeking medical help, even the routine checkups. It's just something that it's not within them. Though it's changing, but it's changing gradually. So you find that a person has got symptoms that can be related to any condition.
Oh, yes.
But the obvious symptoms include lack of urine.
Okay.
All of a sudden, the urine that is coming is either it's too much or there is nothing at all that is coming out. I mean, if I know myself, I can see that no man, something is just not right as it used to be. So the amount of urine, the quantity and the quality of the urine, you find that it's now too dark or it's too foamy, like it's mixed with soap and it's too watery. It's just water. You can see, man, this something has changed. Those are the obvious, or rather the most worrying, most indicating signs and symptoms. Another thing can be, short of breath. I spoke about it earlier on. Another thing could be memory loss.
Okay.
Memory loss due to the body, the toxins, because they're not coming out. One of the toxins is urea. Look, we can always, due to time, we can always go back and refer to the literature to check what urea is. Now, urea, if it's too high, it causes one's brain to not function as it's supposed to. You just get forgetful, memoryless to a certain extent, the worst extent, confusion. And we start thinking about other things, witchcraft and all these other things. Kube, the problem is now with the kidney. And with us, allow me to say Africans, we see such kind of things. The first thing, we take this person, we're giving more traditional concoctions. What I normally advise people is that even if you're using traditional concoctions, just be in the know of where you are. Health wise, is this thing safe? Is this thing suitable for me and stuff like those? Because now, if one has got that problem of urea is high and the confusion and everything, and we take this person to whoever who gives the more traditional concoctions, it's gonna cause even more damage to the kidneys that are already damaged.
I can imagine when one suffers memory loss and the like, really that, as an African, it's easy to suspect that witchcraft is involved here, and start seeking help. And we know that people are free to use any medication and any help. I think what you're saying is that, is it not right for one to go for medical checkups so that even if you're taking whatever concoction, you know exactly what you're dealing with, you know what you are trying to solve? In some of the symptoms here, you talk about poor sleep, poor appetite, and unexplained itchiness, swelling of feet. Hey, like you said, it's quite a whole lot of things which are not only related to renal challenges, but can be symptoms of everything else. But like you said, in the main, these are the ones that to look at. I just want to again,
and it's easy to mistaken such symptoms with anything.
With anything. So what is best? What is best is to go for checkup.
For checkups.
And we said we're zooming to men. That's not our culture. Just recently I was at a doctor, for checkups, and she injected me an injection right on the joint, ne? I said, you're not scared. She expected me to jump. And I said, why? She said, not with men. When it comes to men and injections, we jump. And in fact, we feel like hey, this person, when you think of going for medical checks, one of the things that we fear is to be injected. But how important it is for us to find out exactly the things that are our challenges or our health challenges earlier before maybe it complicates. If you could talk to us as men, because that one is our we and hospitals, I deliberately wanted us to be in this clinic so that we traumatize each other a little bit and say this is the place to be. It's right there is a hospital bed. Sometimes you must be wheeled, and I remember being taken to a scanner, which was a torture, for an hour. And I thought, this is torture. And man, the position I was in, it was not good at all. But you know what? That scanner helped to pick up something that I did not even know is there, and it's developing, because as we grow, a lot of things happen. How do you encourage us as men to do that, before I bring some of the questions that our listeners and our viewers are asking here?
Thank you. Like I said earlier on, I'm going to zoom into the men. And like I said earlier on, with us men, our brothers, our fathers, our husbands, it becomes a challenge, because in my opinion, going to a hospital, going when I'm not sick, it's associated with weakness, and it's associated with the women's things, because now mama has to go and take the kids there. They will, if there's anything wrong, they will tell her that, look, 1, 2, 3, 4 is wrong, but she's not you. As a mother, she's herself, she's taking the baby there. You need to go there yourself for your own checkup. Though I've read somewhere that it's changing, but it is changing. It's slow. It is slow. So what needs to be done is, because even the era that we are living in, things are changing very fast, and there is so much food is processed. We can access things. We spend so much time sitting, we're not exercising. The fact that that is happening on its own, it's predisposing us to those two conditions and other conditions that might lead to kidney disease, diseases of the lifestyle. That is, and there's so much partying and everything, soft life basically. So that on its own, because there we drink things, we inject ourselves with things, drugs and stuff. We smoke things that we are not even sure what it contains, the habit and what's not. So what happens is, we need to live a life that is healthy. That means we go for checkups. Before we can even go for checkups, we make sure that we eat healthy, a well-balanced diet. And then before we take even the herbs, I'm not longer talking about the concoctions that, the bottle that you find on the street with whatever, God knows what, the herbs themselves. Because in other countries, like in Hawaii, the herbs are not controlled by the Food and Drug authorities. So that alone, in itself, we before, that's why when we go to the doctors and to seek medical help, they ask us if there's anything, including the herbs, the herb supplements. That alone, sometimes if we have conditions that we don't even know about, we can have a challenge of aggravating the problems unknowingly. The other day, in one of the programs, it was spoken about the gingers and garlics being the blood thinners. Look, if I have a problem, maybe I have a blood problem, clots, diabetes, deep vein thrombosis, and stuff like that, and I'm taking warfarin. If I don't tell the doctor or whoever health professional that I'm taking this thing, or I'm taking a certain herb, and you find that that herb has got a certain element, or I'm taking a ginger, or I'm taking garlic, and now it means I'm taking garlic and I'm taking this warfarin at the same time. It's causing so much. I will have bleeding unnecessarily. It seems as if I'm out of the topic, but basically what I'm saying is seeking medical help, going for checkups, and then healthy lifestyle.
You know, I think it all ties up together. I see on our WhatsApp somebody saying, thank you for sharing this valuable information. Is it true that more than 2 cups of green tea per day is against the kidneys? You know, these are things that I must be honest, I love green tea. It's, you know, I love my green tea. And these are things that, you know, casually we do. And what can you say about that? It may not be green tea specifically, but these health products that we take, you know, to what effect or what contribution can they do to our kidneys challenges?
I'll give an example with myself. During the COVID pandemic era, I had a condition and I was on my own herbs, you know. When I went to the hospital and I was now diagnosed with 1, 2, 3, 4, I had to disclose
Oh, yes.
that, look, doctor, look, nurse, sister, this is what I'm taking. And then they explained to me to say, your condition that is related to the COVID and everything, if we give you this medication, it contains 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh,
If
yes.
you take this medication, it contains 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're taking it with these herbs. Look, the herbs were helping me and everything and everything. But if you take this and this, we are going to have a challenge. We're
Yes.
going to have a challenge of drug interaction
Mm.
or drug food interaction.
Okay.
Now, when we have that, we will not even know whether the drug is working or your food or your other supplement is working. And then another thing, relating to the question about the herbal tea, the green tea. Like I said earlier, the Food and Drug Administration, the Food and Drug Authority, they control what goes into this drug, what goes into that drug, who can take this drug. That's why they write there that the manufacturers must indicate that whoever is taking this must not take for so much time. Whoever is taking this must not take this with this. Don't take aspirin with warfarin. Don't take this with that. It's causing 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why we have the leaflet. Now, with the herbal things, they are not all of them. No, I'm gonna talk about where I've read. They said in Hawaii, I couldn't find the literature supporting what I'm saying about such in South Africa. But look, what it was said, it's saying that this herbs that we are taking, if we are taking, it's causing so much strain to our kidneys. It's not just our kidneys. So whatever that we are taking, we must take with in moderation. And number 1, number 2, the disclosure. We must go and disclose when we go for our health. You know, our health professionals, they must know what we are taking.
Oh, yes.
And then another thing, before you can even disclose, before you even start, know where you are, so that you know that I'm starting this at this point in my life. If I go for routine checkups, then they will know that, look, you are at stage 3, you can take this stage history of kidney disease. You can take this you cannot. So that right there and then I will know that I can take this. I can take at least 1 cup of this and that, and I can take at least 85 milligram of caffeine content stuff and that.
Okay, let me just quickly take a few of the questions from our participants and our brothers and sisters. And thank you so very much for these questions, because I would love Dr. Mabila also to come in. One of the questions says, can the inability to hold urine be somehow related to renal disease? The inability to hold urine, that's when you feel like urinating, it's hard for you to can hold it. In fact, you must run and look for the nearest loo. And then somebody is also asking, does drinking a lot of water help to flush out the poison in whatever or whatever can be put or can put pressure on the kidneys? For example, if one uses drinks which are high caffeine, by drinking water, can I really be flushing that? So is the inability to hold urine, is it possible to flush when I drink water, more water? And then the last one then says, does continuous lower back pains an indication that there is something wrong with kidneys? Does keeping urine for longer period because of one had or because of one had been, or because of maybe one is traveling a long distance, contributes to kidney dysfunction? You see, the inability to hold urine longer, and also the holding of urine longer, can it contribute? You know, and also the drinking of water, can it flush the kidneys?
Number one, the inability, in most cases, the inability to hold urine for longer, it helps. I mean, it happens with, there can be so many contributing factors, one of which being that you find that it's the nerves around the urine container, the bladder. So that much, you find that a person doesn't feel that the bladder is full. Now the bladder is full, it just comes out. Or the muscles around the opening where the urine comes out, they're no longer strong enough to hold, to close and open, and then the urine just, as it comes, it fills in, and the person just feels, I need to go and urinate. In most cases, it's not in relation to the kidneys. It's in most cases, it's not a nephrology problem, it's a urology problem.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And then the other question
The
about
other question is keeping urine longer because of maybe one is traveling. It's not, you don't have bathrooms nearby. Is it, can it be a contributor?
Yes, it can be as a risk factor, because now, remember, urine, if it's static for too long, it harbors microorganisms. Now, there are no doors somewhere where they're saying now the urine is here and it cannot go back. So the more we keep the urine inside the urine container, you're compressing it, it's not going back, it's not going out. It will be forced to go back into those tubes. So if it's moving here with a certain bug, with a certain germ, with a certain microorganism that can cause harm, it will go and cause that problem up there, either here going up there. That can be a problem on its own, or it can cause something that we call hydronephrosis. Now the urine, it's just going up there, and it's too much fluid in the ureters and the kidney itself. It causes so much pressure of the fluid. Now it's not flushing out the urine, it's not flushing out even whatever that the content is, it's in that.
That makes me now, it's like one thinks of 11-3, like somebody said 11-3 is in Africa, every tree is it's 11-3. But like he said, like they said, sometimes you're traveling and then you have to hold back. But I think it's important to know that that is a risk factor. And then drinking of water, too much or too much water, can it help flush some of these things?
Anything in excess is too much. It's not just not safe.
Even what?
Anything is in excess, and we get that question a lot. Look, there is a controversial way, Alfred. There's a controversial studies contradicting each other. Others are saying it will flush out. Others are saying it will just cause the so much hydronephrosis, like I said, so much water pressure into the kidneys that is not necessary.
It will drown the
It
kidneys.
will drown the kidneys. They can't even get time to breathe if there's such a thing. But like it is said, 8 glasses, at least 1 liter to 2 liters per day. And then no, it goes with age. We cannot give a 5-year-old a liter more than that per day. It's just too much.
Wow, time is not on our side. I took the 15 minutes that we lost in the beginning because of the challenges, but I would love to let Dr. Mabila maybe do his remarks and maybe pose a question that he might be having before we let you go. Doc?
Yeah, thanks, Pastor Strike. I think because of the questions. Comment on this thing of men not actually consulting or medical checkups. What I've actually realized is men always, where they've got these concoctions or imbies, find a very long queue. They go there in numbers. My father's cousin, Africa imbies, and then for 10 days. And then Bano Abad, Mapurisa, and everybody, every day. And then for 10 days. And then, and I want to know, from, I guess, relationship between dehydration and kidney diseases, like when you are dehydrated, doesn't, longer tereka for 10 days, angatlile, kidney tiratano. Or at the end of the day, when your kidney has been overworked, what actually happens to your health, to the health of that kidney? That's my first question to her.
You got that?
Oh, yes, I did. I thought there is another subsequent question. Thank you, doctor, for the question. Look, I'm not here. I'm not sent by any organization, but I have my own experience, 10 years plus in nephrology nursing. I have seen people who had themselves. There was a time when I once saw one who had taken stameta and they had a kidney failure. Luckily, it was still acute. They quickly came because of that problem of the dehydration. Remember earlier on when I was explaining, I spoke about the kidney needing the blood, the fluid, the blood moving at least per minute, plus minus 200 mils moving inside the kidney for its purpose. Now, if my body generally is dehydrated, what is going to move there? Now, for 10 days and I'm dehydrated, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because that filter, it will clog like this, it will shrink. We call it the glomerulus, the filter, say for the sift that is filtering whatever toxins. Now it will shrink, even the kidney itself, they shrink. By the time one comes to the hospital and we try to resuscitate with the fluids, the drips and everything, you find that, look, there is a total shutdown on the kidneys with something that could have been avoided. So dehydration on its own, on its own. Whether that's why even with young babies, the mothers are always at the primary level at the clinic.
Yeah, this is my last question, because I think we are breaking up. I can't hear it, quite clearly. There's a man that I knew who had a problem with, renal failure, but he actually has a particular, religion, which I'm not actually going to mention here. And then he used to, with that condition, I think he would actually drink what more. I said, at church, I'm more. And then he didn't last. He actually died. Now, what can you actually advise? Like, for example, a person is under this condition, and then you have got this bucket of that you have to drink, and then you have got this condition. You have got your religious belief, and then the other side of the coin, you have got the reality that you have to deal with. You need to advise, religious, organization, in terms of, and people who are actually suffering from, kidney.
I'm going to be general about that question. Look, kidney disease, there are conditions, whether communicable or non-communicable, that can be managed single-handed. I have my own this condition, I come to the clinic, they manage it, and I go home. For the rest of my life, that thing is gone, thank God. But with kidney disease, it comes and it affects so many systems. Now, it needs a multidisciplinary approach. It needs the doctor who is the nephrologist, whether nephrologist adult or peds nephrologist. It needs the social worker. It needs the nurse. It needs the dietitian. It needs the pharmacy. It needs the psychologist. It needs the social worker. It needs the family as well, because this is one condition that will affect a person holistically. Now, look, with such a person, now this person will need so much counseling, and another thing will be so much counseling about the condition itself and its impact on himself, its possible, the possible potential mortality, like the death rate, the prognosis, should this person continue the way they are continuing doing the things that are not aligned with him getting better, or delaying the progression of the disease. If this person is not following properly, this person will need proper counseling from the team itself, and the family itself. It needs the counseling. And as for the community at large, the religious entities and stuff, we need more awareness. We need more awareness about these kind of conditions, because people must know what is expected, so that from the Western and the traditional and the religious entities, we work together towards the same goal of improving the well-being of an individual and the community at large.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Just with water, you said 1 liter to 2 liters a day. That's acceptable, yes, because one of my participants was asking what would be considered to be the healthier intake of water. And then another one, maybe in closing, this one will not leave it out. That's the treatment. The treatment because what we know normally is dialysis. And at what stage is dialysis? And the question says, coming to dialysis, what is the lifespan? Can one live more than at least years on dialysis? And my viewers, let's push until past, because this is one of the topic that is very much important as we wrap up. But now talk to us about treatment, dialysis, and when, is there a possibility that when it's picked up earlier, can I be helped and then that's it, I'm out? Or do I have to go all the way to dialysis? And at what stage is dialysis, and how long is my life expectancy or is my lifespan when looking to dialysis? I'm talking about this because sometimes we need to know these facts so that we are able to do something about it before it is even too late.
Thank you, listeners, for the question. Look, kidney injury can be acute, it can be chronic. With acute side, it's when the kidney loss, it's less than 60% for not more than 3 months. Now from 3 months, now we are talking, if I have the kidney functioning of less than 60% for 3 months going up, it means now I have a chronic kidney disease. Now with chronic kidney disease, what happens is the doctors, what they do, they give treatment. That treatment is to delay the progress, it's to delay the progression of the disease, because we don't want this disease to be as fast, and we want to manage the prognosis. Now the dialysis, it can start around when the kidney functioning is 15% and less, and then but before then, that's why we say people must know their state of health. Before then, I would have known that I am having this kind of a condition. I'm still at stage 3, so I'm being cancelled. I am cautious, very cautious, as far as my lifestyle is concerned and everything. Even the family is cancelled. By the time I start dialysis, at the 15% and less, by the time I get to that point, now, I know what I'm heading towards. And in other populations, because I'm not with us blacks, it still feels like a taboo for one to donate a living donor. For me, as an alive person, to donate my kidney, to give it to somebody so that that person can live with that. Remember, with dialysis, yes, it's a treatment, yes, it preserves life. Pardon me, it preserves life, but the main focus, when a person is put on dialysis, the person is put there on dialysis while this person is waiting for a donor. So dialysis is there, yes, but the main purpose is that this person can still progress with life and do other things while we are waiting for the donor. That's why it's important now for the community, for our people, to know about the transplant, kidney transplant and everything, and donation, so that we understand the need to donate. Now, with as to how long can a person live being on a dialysis, with my experience, I've seen people being on dialysis for more than 10 years and still live for more than 10 years and get a donor after 10 years of dialysis and continue with life.
Wow, that's great. You're touching something which I think is very important, and would love to follow through it, the issue of organ donors. Understand that one can do that, so that there is a donation of kidney, which that one I can do it now while I'm still alive, and then have my one kidney and give one away, and then help somebody, which is not very easy, except the person be a family member. But I remember one of the young men right here, were with the young man at church, and he did that. He donated to a friend, which is highly commended. I really respected him. But there is when at death, maybe I'm in an accident or any other thing, but saying death, I'm donating some of my organs. I think we need to talk about that also some days, and get people who can help us through that. Because if I'm exiting, but somebody might really leave because of some of the organs that I might even leave behind and donate to somebody. Mwakwana, thank you so very much. Our time is fast spent, but would love for you to tell us off the cuff something that you'd love to say to us. You know, we really appreciate you coming through, and you're from clinic and you got into another clinic, and we really appreciate your efforts, and after a hectic day, making sure that you're talking to us. And I would love also to say to our viewers and to our listeners, I really appreciate you for your contribution and for your questions, because yes, they go a long way in helping us understand some of these things. And you are free to continue contacting us either on our WhatsApp or on our WhatsApp or on our phone, on my phone, because some of these conditions might be somebody is really going through something or feels something, and we'll be free to connect you with Ngwakwana so that she's able to advise you given maybe the symptoms that you are experiencing, so that because this is not just a talk shop, but we're also looking at making sure that the end of the day we are of help to somebody. I think today we did something when it comes to awareness. But Ngwakwana, what is it that you'd love to say as you sign off this evening?
Thank you. As I sign off, I would like to emphasize on the issue of lifestyle. I would like to emphasize on the issue of seeking medical help when it's still easy, not just about the kidney health, because the era that we are living in, it's just different, and we should allow ourselves to be dynamic, to move with times, because some of the things that we use or our forefathers used to do are no longer applicable, and it's really it's going to impact on us, and if we are not taking note of that. And then with that being said, like Pastor Strike has mentioned, we are always available for the questions and for, you know, for assistance to up to our optimum potential and ability. Where we cannot, we know who knows who knows who knows who. We can always refer to the relevant people. Like myself, look, I have a friend, she's a dietitian. She doesn't allow me to just eat anything, no matter how I crave it. So we need people, we need each other in this life. That's all I can say. And I'd like to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for taking your time to listen.
Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Ngwakwana Matuba. I must be honest, she's so passionate about renal health, and one thing that I know she's working on is to work on making sure that she runs this, making sure that even awareness in communities, because that's her passion, and we just appreciate it for coming through and for being with us and for talking to us and helping us understand some of these things. We really appreciate, gentlemen. It's like we said, and like Dr. Mabila said, that it is a pressure as men, to in our marriage bed to try and be that, but sometimes that pressure might lead one to totally losing that which the little that he has. And he reached the little that you have, if you maintain your health, and make sure that you are working on it, it might really help than to find ourselves like Dr. Mabila talks of Mbita, where men will queue and queue, and Mbita later it works for 10 days. So after 10 days, you have to come back. Gentlemen, I think it's very much important for us to take care of ourselves. Remember, you're not just that, you are everything. You're a father, you're a husband, you're a uncle, and people look up to you. So your health, your life is very, very important and very critical, and knowledge is key. To you, my brothers and sisters, knowledge is key. That is why I prefer sometimes for somebody to scare me and by telling me facts and telling me the truth, so that I'm able to take right decision at the right time, so that I am safe. So I just want to appreciate you all for coming through. I appreciate you all for contributing. I know that somebody got something. And of course, this show is available. It's available on YouTube. It's available on Facebook. You can go back to it and go through it and empower yourself, and also share with others. Family, let's share with others. In Tonga, we say "Rigogo basongarat akam." This is not the right one. The right one is loko utsundzuka melemba kandia nsinya. When you remember, when you think of a rhino climb the tree, that is, you know what? There are those things that when you are cautioned about, take a step, take action. And I think this is very much important. And I am your host, Pastor Strike, and my co-host, Dr. Mabila Matebula, our guest, Nwakwana Matuba. Thank you so very much. She's a nephrology nurse specialist, and we just appreciate it. And thank you to all of you who participated, all the questions that you asked. We trust that we all got something, and we'll continue on the conversation. We all bring something, we all talk. So it's not about the questions that we have as the host, but it's about even the questions that you have, so that we converse, even the thoughts, the ideas, and the experiences that you have, and all that works together to help us all. Ladies and gentlemen, a blessed evening to you all. We love you with the love of the Lord, and you are listening to Bold Moves Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Streaming 24/7. Bold Moves Radio. Africa, nakupenda sana. Oh, Africa.